In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find God, I find myself.
I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I can todo lo bueno que el mundo necesita. Todo el mundo necesita todo lo bueno que puedo hacer. Je ne peux pas faire tout le bien dont le monde a besoin. Tout le monde a besoin de tout le bien que je peux lui faire. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. 'Aqdar amalu kul jayat al-alam muhtaj, lakin al-alam muhtaj kul jayat amalu. Ani lo osa et kol hatov שהעולם צריך, אבל העולם צריך הטוב שאני עושה. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. Itorite sikayo suku nante dekina I soredimo kito dekayo suku itori ni nreru. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world
Can the worst overcome without? There's no way to know. Knowing is the only way today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. Picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door. Not looking back because the past is such a bore. I'm gonna stand alone with stars up in my face today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt. You can stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith. It seems the less we have, the more we breathe the beauty of the world. So walk lightly on the earth. Walk lightly on the earth. Yeah, yeah. It makes the world go round. People live in peace. Away. Simple. Away. Simple living. Away. It makes the world go round. People live in peace. Away. You know we don't need much to live and be happy in the world. It seems the less we have, the more we breathe the beauty of the world. So walk lightly on the earth. Walk so lightly on the earth. Yeah. People live in peace. We all live in peace. People live in peace. And we shall live in peace. People live in peace. And if we live in peace, we shall be living in peace. All the people.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster's online Sunday celebration service. Please join in our opening song this morning and sing wholeheartedly to the song, My Soul is Welcome Here.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul.
Segura, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our Sunday celebration service at Unity of New Westminster in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Whether you are watching us live on Zoom or on Facebook or on YouTube, or whether you are finding us on demand after the service, it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of all of us here. We would love to stay connected with you. So please subscribe to our newsletter on our website, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, or join our Facebook group. And that way you will be notified anytime we have a service. We are so glad that you are part of our experience today. The Unity Movement offers ideas for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is wisdom in faith traditions all over the world. We respect every person's right to choose their own spiritual path, their own life path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. We begin our service acknowledging that we are guests on the traditional and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples. And it is with gratitude that we live, play, and work on this beautiful land. We give thanks that we are able to join together in this virtual environment where we can be reminded that we need not be in one another's presence physically to be connected and aware of our connection with each other. We celebrate our connection with all of humanity, our connection with all our brothers and sisters across this planet. We know that there are many names, many faces, many paths to our understanding of what some call God, others call Creator, others call quantum. We are one in God, one in Creator, one in quantum. By whatever name we have for our understanding of the creative power that has brought us to this place, to this life experience on this amazingly beautiful planet. By whatever name we have for this power, we recognize that there is one power and that we are all part of, immersed in, and expressions of that one power. That there is no spot, that God is not. And that includes us, each of us. Beautiful, unique, part of nature, part of life. Part of intelligence, part of creation. Part of the power that is the one. And it is from this awareness that we are one, that we bless all people everywhere with intentions for love, for peace, for connection, for abundance, for joy. We are so grateful that we are able to connect with each other. And we are so grateful for our power to intend, to bless, and to love. And in gratitude, we let it be. Amen. Last week, we heard the sad news about a family in London, Ontario, who were out for an evening walk. Family of 5 people spanning 3 generations. And out of the blue, a vehicle rammed into them. 4 people were killed, 3 generations. 1 9-year-old boy remains in hospital. That family was targeted because they were of the Muslim faith. I am so saddened by this news of such needless, unchristian-like, inhumane violence. My heart and the hearts of all here at Unity of New Westminster, our hearts go out to the family, to their friends, to the entire Islamic community. At this time of sadness and sorrow, we send a blessing of love, of peace to all who are affected by this violence.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world.
Recently, the words, "what if you didn't mind," have been really active for me. And I've shared some of my thoughts about those words in the past several weeks. We spoke at the beginning with this idea of what if you didn't mind when things don't go your way? Or what if you didn't mind when people don't do things in the way that you expect that they would, or you hope that they would? And we spoke about the freedom that might come if we lessened our attachment to those things that don't turn out the way we expect them to. Then we spoke about what if we didn't mind imperfection, especially our own imperfections, and how much freedom we could find if we could accept that perfection is really a direction to move towards rather than a final goal. And so to accept imperfection and move towards greater expansion and excellence has a very different and more freeing experience than needing to be perfect all the time. And then we moved into what if we didn't mind feelings? What if we didn't mind those uncomfortable feelings that we have always repressed or depressed or suppressed? What if we allowed them to see the light of day so that we can then experience them? We can allow them to inform what we care about, and we can allow them to be freed. And in so doing, we free ourselves because those feelings need to be released. One way or another, they'll be released, whether we want them to or not, in ways that we like or don't like. So the encouragement of what if we didn't mind feelings is to be okay with those uncomfortable feelings and give them the space to express in a healthy way. And then last week we spoke about what if we didn't mind saying no, and what if we didn't mind hearing no. The idea of not attaching our sense of self-worth to another person's rejection of an idea that we might have or a desire that we might have. And equally, not being afraid to stand up and say, no, this doesn't work for me. I'm not able to, or not willing to, or I am not going to participate in whatever request you may have. What if we didn't mind saying no? And in all of these weeks, the what if you didn't minds have been to do with the idea of moving into a place of more freedom and more honesty, of more authenticity. And today we finalize that with another look. What if we didn't mind saying yes? What if we didn't mind saying yes? Have you ever noticed how often you reject or you dismiss another person's point of view, another person's suggestion, another person's idea without really giving it space or consideration? Have you ever noticed that your go-to might be just to dismiss? Let me rephrase that. I have noticed that often my go-to is to dismiss another person's idea or suggestion. Part of it, I think, comes from this notion of not liking being told what to do. And so we hear a person's suggestions and we interpret it as we're not doing something correctly. And so because we don't want that feeling, we completely dismiss the idea. And so we resist considering the suggestions that people might make that might actually have a lot of merit and a lot of truth for us, a lot of value for us. And sometimes they aren't of value for us. You know, I've heard the term, and I'm sure you've heard it as well, that opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody has one. And opinions can be subjective. And so what may be true for one person may not be the same experience for somebody else. And so there is a place where we don't necessarily want to accept what someone is suggesting to us. So there is some discernment that needs to happen. For example, we may have someone who says that we're bossy, and somebody else say that we're not assertive enough, or somebody say that we're lazy, and others say that we work too hard, or some say that we're overweight, and others say that we need to put more meat on our bones, or we're not friendly enough, or we're overly friendly, and so on and so on. And then we have the helpful people who say things like, well, if it were me, this is the way I would do it. Or I'd have done it this way if you had asked me to do it. And so there's this sense of the message we tell ourselves is, I'm perfect, they're perfect, I'm not. That's how we hear some of that stuff. And so as a result of that, when someone is giving us a suggestion, potentially one that matters, potentially one that doesn't, our tendency is to become defensive, maybe even to bristle a little. We may start to explain our point of view and tell them why they are wrong to think the way they do, or we may cut them off. We may walk away, we may stop listening. And in all of that defensiveness, which is our natural response to being told what to do, the other person's point of view is completely discounted. And that can lead to a sense of separation, to hurt feelings, sometimes to argument, and even an ending of relationship. It can lead to pain and anxiety. And depending on how harshly we say no, we may never hear something that is important, something that might be worth listening to, worth hearing, and worth considering. So there is some merit to being open to hearing what a person might say, even if we then, after consideration, decide that it's not what we are going to do. So my invitation to you, to us, is to be willing to say yes to at least hearing somebody. How do we separate the good from the bad? How do we separate the diamond in the rough? That there might just be one nugget that we might find value from, that we would risk never having exposed because we always say no. So how do we do this? Well, my suggestion is that we try the first rule of improv. Improv is that fun, artistic experience of comedy, where you will have actors feeding off of each other, unscripted, creating, improvising. That's what improv is, improvising. And the first rule of improv is to agree, is to say, yeah, and it goes off into all kinds of other places. But the first thing you do is agree. What does that look like if someone is saying something to you that you just absolutely don't want to hear? Well, discernment would say, if you were to follow what I've just said, that you first find out whether or not this is something that requires a response. It could be that all you need to do is smile and nod. For many people, when they are speaking, there is really no need even to engage. There's no need even to respond other than to nod and let them say whatever it is that's on their mind. Sometimes a person is just expressing. Don't mistake a monologue for a dialogue. And even just doing this one thing occasionally may completely relax what would otherwise become a situation where a person speaks and we feel the need to add our wisdom, which means that we become defensive or instructive, and then they become defensive and instructive. And now, instead of the person saying something that need not have had any response other than a smile or nod, now all of a sudden there's an argument. The other thing we can do is the words, yeah, you're right. I am a jerk sometimes. Yeah, you're right. I have thought that I'm bossy too. Yeah, you're right. There are times that I'm unfriendly. What are they going to do with that? And isn't it true that there are times that you know that you have behaved in a way that's not pleasant or not friendly or overly whatever? So if there's any point that you actually can agree with this person about whatever observation they are making, this is the time to say, yeah, I've thought that about myself too. No argument. We're on the same page. And if that feels a little disingenuous, if it doesn't feel honest to say, yeah, you're right, I felt that way too, then you might say, yeah, you may be right. Just the idea of saying yes helps to makes things calmer. As soon as you say yes, there is no argument. No argument. So, of course, the question then becomes for us listening to this, but why shouldn't I defend myself if someone is accusing me of something? Well, my question back to you would be, what if they gave a war and nobody came? This is a person having an opinion, a person having a thought. Until I engage, that person is having a thought. I have no obligation to respond. And so the more that we can recognize that it's only when we respond, that we engage, that we actually start the war, then we can recognize that maybe we just don't want to play in that sandbox. Let them have their opinion. Smile and nod. Defensiveness is actually a response to perceived aggression. Our trying to explain to the person why they shouldn't think the way they are is our response to their perceived aggression. And when we engage that way, then that leads to a renewed effort on their part to prove the rightness of their point. Please tell me that you understand what I'm talking about, that you've been in that place. I know I have, where if I had just smiled and nodded, nothing would have happened. The person wasn't actually, at times, wasn't even asking for an opinion. They were just venting. And then again, you may say, but they're yelling at me, they're insulting me. Yes. And to what end will things improve if we start insulting them back? Are we likely to change a person's mind? Are we likely to have them suddenly see the light and apologize when we then engage in an argument and war with them? Just remember the words, the war, W-A-R, we are right. We are right. Every time that we are asserting ourselves to be right, we are actually engaging in this aggressive behavior that is the absolute opposite of how we want to be in the world. We want to be the presence of peace and love and acceptance and inclusion. And that includes another person's negative opinion of us. We know the intentions of our behavior. We know who we are. And if the other person doesn't share our opinion of us, that's up to them. Let them have their opinion and we'll have ours. When we don't engage, then they have nothing to argue against, and war is averted. And so when you can bring yourself to agree that the person is right, or the person may be right, or that you've actually had that thought yourself at times as well, or if none of those can fit for you, then at least to merely smile and nod. It can have the power to end the conflict, to end the disagreement before it even begins. It's like just heading it off at the pass. And it may be that you are then in a place where you can hear what they're saying and thoughtfully, privately, silently, consider whether there is some merit there for us. So that maybe what they are suggesting actually is something we can find the diamond in the rough about. Notice also, how often do you say no to yourself? How often do you reject yourself just as you reject someone else? What if you were able and willing to say yes to yourself, to all of who you are, to all of your dreams? Often, I think we are harder on ourselves than others are on us. We stop ourselves from doing things that we long to do, or because of the fear of failure, or maybe the failure of our own failure to live up to our own high expectations of ourselves, we stop ourselves from following the dreams that we long for. Many of us have a dream that we long to give ourselves permission to follow. Maybe we've always wanted to write a book, or to go back to school, or to learn to play a musical instrument, or to speak in public, or to open a store, or to change careers. Maybe we long to be a minister. This week is the 2-year anniversary of my ordination at Unity Village. Often we say no to our dreams. And the consequence for that is a deep and abiding sadness and regret, a sense of loss. What if we said yes to our dreams? What if we said yes to ourselves rather than pushing those ideas down, those longings down, because of our fear of rejection, or our fear that we're not deserving of it, or that we're not qualified, or that we're less than in some way? What if we gave ourselves permission anyway to follow our dreams? In Scripture, we are told that it's the Father's joy to give us the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus said that he would give us the keys to the kingdom. And what did he teach us? He taught us non-resistance, compassion, inclusion, love. And so when we are in that place where we're being hard on ourselves, we can be reminded that one of the teachings, the teaching that is in every religion, is to love our neighbor as ourselves. And that means, though, that we want to love ourselves. Sometimes it's easier to say, love our neighbor and ourselves. Or it might be easier to say, love ourselves and our neighbor. Have you ever noticed that it's easier to say kind, gentle things to other people than to yourself? One of the things that you might consider doing, if you find yourself limiting yourself, is to imagine what you would say to a friend or someone you trust, or who comes to you asking for your thoughts about this matter. Somebody comes to you saying, I long to do this. Happened to me. I was filling out my ministerial application, and it's a long form. It has tons of detail. And at some point I was in a place of, I don't know, maybe this isn't for me. Who am I? Who am I to want to be a minister? And I called a friend, because I didn't have it within me to know what to do with all of these self-doubts that were going on. And she said, you're upper limiting. You are allowing your fear and your sense of lack, the sense of non-worth. She didn't use those words, but your sense of not good enoughness to sabotage you. Know that that's okay and do it anyway. Know that it's okay and do it anyway. When we find that we are naming, blaming, shaming ourselves, when we are telling ourselves that we are not good enough, that we don't deserve, that we're not qualified, that we might fail, and then what? Then we could apply those same principles that I spoke about earlier in today's message. We could say, yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm not sure if I deserve this. Yes, it's possible that I will fail. And yes, I'm going to do it anyway. Yes. Yes, and. Yes, and I'm going to do it anyway. Yes, and you'll do better next time. Yes, and I'm going to write that book, sing that song, learn that instrument, go back to school, whatever those dreams might be. Yes, you may fail. And yes, you will still be you. You will be a person who tried something which didn't work. And you will have learned something in the process about yourself, about your resilience, about your courage. The first step is to say yes. And so today, in the next few days, in the next few weeks, notice how often we say no to others and to ourselves. Notice how often we become defensive. Notice how often we deny another person or ourselves. And my invitation to you is to consider saying yes. Try something different. What if you didn't mind saying yes? Give them the benefit of the doubt. Allow them to judge you for what you've already noticed about yourself. Take a step in courage. What if you didn't mind saying yes? I bless you.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only sets me free. There is only love. And I know this voice of love. It is singing through my life. It is all I am, every part of me. It is all I choose to be. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is
You are invited to join us on Thursdays for our weekly prayer and meditation service. Please note that our time is changing. Instead of 11 o'clock in the morning, the prayer service will now be at 4 o'clock, beginning on June the 17th, 4 o'clock. At the prayer service, we connect with each other. We check in with each other. We move into a time of prayer and meditation. We read the names of the people whose names are on our prayer list. It is a time of centering, a time of recharging, a time of re-energizing. I invite you to join us. No experience is necessary, everything is guided. You are invited to join us on the last Friday of the month for our Friday night house party and talent night. It is on Zoom. It is hosted by Jerry, and it is at 7 o'clock. It is a time for those who have talents that they want to share to bring those to the light with singing and reading or playing an instrument or telling jokes and making us all laugh. It is also a chance where several of us may not have anything that we want to share, but we want to be part of the experience. And so it becomes a place where we just chat and have some really fun times learning more about each other. Friday night, last Friday of the month, on Zoom at 7 o'clock. Join us.
Hi, friends. My name is Aaron, and I'm proud to be the president of the board of the Unity of New Westminster Spiritual Community. I want to talk to you about three things. The first of these is that with the dwindling numbers of infections and the growing numbers of vaccinations and the reopening plan for BC, that we have not just survived, but thrived, unlike many businesses and organizations around us. And all of the work done here is mostly by volunteers who are our neighbors and friends. So we need to think good thoughts for the people who had trouble making it. but also to celebrate ourselves and our community for getting through all of this together. I think back on conversations a year ago about what people were missing about going to church. And after that, that was just after a few months, and some missed that we were praying together, and some missed the singing, and some missed the opportunity to dress up, and some people missed the potlucks and the seasonal celebrations. That was me. And the other day I got to see Rona in person, and I hadn't even known how much I missed her until that happened. And we were supposed to go to a serious meeting and be all smart and effective. And I just wanted to keep looking at her and smiling. And she was like, we need to test these microphones. But it's been more than a year. And it was lovely to be connected every week online, but to be in person was good. Anyway, we're doing pretty great, and we're ready to talk about reopening our church, and more about that in a minute. So to continue on, we need to follow some processes, and an important one of these is our AGM, which is June 27th this year, right after our services. The AGM, we're hoping to start about 12:15, and there's an opportunity for some updates, but that'll be quite brief. But it's also an important time, particularly this year, to revisit some old friends we might not have seen for a while and make some new ones, and to talk about our future together. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And we have some words from Martha Creek, which should be very inspiring. Last year, we were thrilled to have more people interested in being on the board than ever. And we've been able to have an alternate to stand in for members who couldn't make it every month. We've worked hard this year with some great new players, and supported by some more experienced members like Jerry, Sharon, and Alexandra. And we've all been learning a lot about church leadership and board responsibilities from Martha Creek at an extra evening of training a month that we've been going to. I've been involved in many boards, but this is the first one where when we want to move something forward, people are so ready and willing, they're just leaning forward and leaning into it and ready to sign up. And it's very powerful. And if you're a member of our congregation, know that you're well and enthusiastically represented. If people want to come to the AGM and vote, they have to be a member. And you can find our new membership forms on our website at www.unityofnewwestminster.org. To be a member of the board, you need to be a member for a year. But we're always looking for new committee members. And increasingly, as our committees come together, this is true. And we'd also like to think of expanding some of the work that we're really proud of, such as Jerry and Sharon's supports for our elders. So now for the reopening plan. The document that we refer to, I'm going to try and just go to it here. Is this one. And so this is the Unitarian Universalist. And we like it because it's a very thorough document that looks at all the aspects of reopening and what we need to be thinking about in terms of keeping people safe. And so it's really good. So we combined this with some ideas from our from our own Unity folks who also have a bunch of resources that we've been able to access and use, and then our own thoughts, and then finally the thoughts of Bonnie Henry. So So Saturday's service on June 12th for Hilda was our first trial run at having a group of 10 together in our sanctuary, and also an open group online at the same time. And it seemed fitting that Hilda, who initiated so many things at Unity and was so important to so many of us, be a key for our reopening. It seems like a great omen. And so we're going to follow this on June 20th with a Father's Day service for a small group of 10 members in our church. And that'll also be broadcast and online in the same ways that it has been for all year. So if you'd like to attend, please email unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com. and put your name forward as someone who would like to attend in person. If we have too many requests, we'll put you on our list for our next in-person service. June 27th will be online. Our AGM has already been advertised as being online, and it'll be right after services, about 12:15. So we'll all do the service online at 11 o'clock and then transition from there. Instead of going for coffee, we'll go to an AGM and we'll have some fun and it'll be interesting. But we'll continue to have more in-person services. And then early in July, we're hoping for a larger outdoor gathering at one of the local parks where we can have maybe pretty much our whole congregation come together. So we'll keep you informed about that as plans are made. It'll be kind of like a potluck, except you bring your own coffee and snacks, and you might need to bring your own lunch. Or it's sort of like a do-it-yourself potluck. So some other ideas for July and August are to have a come as you can, come as you are service in which we strongly encourage you to wear pajamas, just as we've all been doing for the last year, except Rona, who dresses so nicely. And then in August, we're celebrating life by wearing purple and reading a poem that came to us from Rona and Barb. Rona introduced it to us, and then it turned out that Barb Good had a copy of it on our wall. So we'll read that poem, which celebrates just jumping into life as we can. And then in September, we're hoping to be back to some sense of normalcy, and we'll know what that looks like. So I'm going to reiterate this. Thank you for all your support. We made it, and we should celebrate. You should celebrate yourselves. We should celebrate our community. And thanks in particular to those who work so hard to keep everything rolling around. We do celebrate you all. And thanks especially for our minister, who is amazing. I know that in our newly configured board after June 27th, I really want to talk about figuring out how we can care for her as she has cared for all of us over the last year, because that's been a lesson in itself. If you'd like one of the 10 spots for Sunday the 20th, Father's Day service, please let us know by emailing unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com. Sunday the 27th will be our AGM. The service will be online and the AGM will be online. In July, we'll have an after-church gathering, do-it-yourself potluck. And July and August, we'll look for a mix of in-person and online services and special events, and we'll keep you posted. If you want to keep up to date, watch for us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Zoom and Instagram, because we're cool. I'm on Facebook pretty much every Sunday. Feel free to say hi or ask any questions that you might have. Thank you all so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Bye-bye.
There are many, many ways to give to our organization, either through credit card online or direct Interac transfers or checks or cash. We are so grateful for the generosity of the contributions that we receive, which support not just our ministry, but also organizations in our own community that do amazing work, and Unity Canada that spreads the message of unity across the country. Thank you for your contributions. I invite you now to hold whatever you feel blessed for in your hands, in your heart. Financial, family, roof over your head, food on the table, just whatever you are feeling blessed with as we sing our blessing song.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And we come to the end of another service. I thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed your experience with us today. I wish you all a very, very blessed week. Goodbye, everybody.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever